Okay, so here we have the Wise Foods Beef Stroganoff. First thing I noticed in opening this package up is this very closely resembles the Hamburger Helper and the Hamburger Helper knockoffs that you'll see at a lot of grocery stores. Big difference is this is packaged for simplicity of packaging and long-term storage. You get the little preservative packet in here, the oxygen absorber. I don't even think there's an expiration date on here. If it is, it's heavily coated. They do give you a manufacturing date. This was July of 2014. I bought this at a Walmart in February of 2015. The other interesting thing to notice on your nutritional facts is there's 4 servings per container. That's because each one is made to go with 4 cups of water, so it's 1/4 of this bowl. You can imagine if you got bigger, hungrier people, they're going to want more of this. If you're alone, you're backpacking, you're going to make this, you got to boil the water somehow, and this would go in a thermos cooking situation. With your Stanley wide mouth type thermos cooking, it's not going to take the whole package. That's where you run into an issue. It's not a resealable package, so you're going to be splitting this among 2 thermoses to get a thermos cooking situation where you're not ending up with it being too dry or too full. But with your protein and vitamin content, it's not that bad. But if you're living on this stuff, you want a vitamin supplement. If you're making meals out of this stuff, then you probably also want some sort of other stuff to add to it. This is something that's going to have like a dried sour cream type thing, but you've got to have some kind of oil involved, whether it's butter, vegetable oil, olive oil, some sort of an animal fat. Maybe if you're saving some kind of animal fat for that, then you want to add that to it. As far as other flavors to add to it or other things to add to it, vegetables, whether it's garden vegetables or frozen vegetables or fresh from the grocery store stuff. In a SHTF type situation, you want to clean out the fridge. You want to start using up all your other stuff. That's what I like about the Wise Foods is it's one of those things I can use to combine with some things just to use up what's in a fridge. Let's say the power went out. We want to start using up what's in the fridge. This really makes sense for that role. So next we're going to see it partially Alright, so while I have this stuff sitting reconstituting with the boiling water, thickened up fairly well, but I think I had a little too much water in there. We'll see how that goes. In a situation like this is where it helps to have other rice and noodles in your food storage profile, so you can add it, kind of deal with that. You may have to add other things, but that's generally how you deal with those. Add a little more rice or noodles to that. Comparing this packaging situation to, I'm fairly certain this was like dollar store stuff or low cost market type stuff. And again, we're looking at that serving size, 4 servings. That's kind of like what they call it with any of these Hamburger Helper. This one's the tuna one. I think it was made to work with 2 cans of tuna. Well, it says 1 can. Okay, so either way, you get a portion of the noodles and a portion of the flavor pen, right? Well, see, here's where this can work. You could, in theory, depackage this for like backpack or bug out bag use and separate it from the cardboard box, and then you've got this type of thing that you could either seal a meal or put in a reusable nylon bag or something like that. But this could last a while. The thing is, it's not critter proof, neither is this. It's just that this type of packaging isn't quite going to go as well long term under field conditions as this type of packaging. But once it's used, it's used. So if you have some of this at a place, okay, then you use a cardboard in a fireplace or whatever. It's not remarkably different, and these things tend to be a little more competitive and cheaper. With this stuff, even if I might pull the noodles out and use them in this, we'll save the flavor packet for something else. I mean, it's your basic cheese flavor stuff. But that's one of the ways that can go. And how it compares, this one really compares a lot to some of your Hamburger Helper type stuff or soup mix type stuff. It's just to have that as a real side dish You're not going to eat that with a fork unless you have something else in there. So that could be my fault. I think I put a little more than 4 cups of water. Okay, so this stuff thickening up, I did a little taste testing on this, and it started to thicken up as the noodles and a little bit of rice I added start to absorb this stuff. Now you're going to see this looks thick and creamy, right? Okay, that's cornstarch. You'll notice there's that semi-transparent type of a thing to it. That's cornstarch. That's not a butter product or anything like that. Tasting this stuff with nothing fixing it up, it's awful. Got to add something to it. Okay, I'm a heavyweight guy. It's because I like good food. You know, it's kind of like when you meet a marijuana addict who's a connoisseur of weed. Well, I'm a connoisseur of food at a certain level. And over the last few years, when I was taking a lot of my food budget and putting it into the long-term storage stuff, I kind of got less into my culinary stuff than I wanted to, because, hey, I was budgeting a lot toward, making sure I'll never starve, right? But the thing is, this stuff is, it's definitely not culinary delights type stuff. You're always going to have to be adding something to it to make it palatable, at least by my standard. If you're starving, it'll fill your gut. I know that if this is what I was living on, I'd probably be losing weight. But yeah, so this looks creamy because they've got a cornstarch thickening agent in it. If you have stuff to add, do add it, because alone, not that great. Really not that great alone. I'm going to do a little bit more in depth on this with some price comparisons to just getting, hamburger helper type stuff or skillet dinner type stuff, and simply, repackaging it or dealing with that in the bug out food things, because this stuff had all the promise of being pretty good, but I think this is just something you put in a plastic tote bin, put it in your food storage thing, know you've got it covered, and hope you don't have to live on it. If you do have to live on it, you're going to be pulling stuff out of the fridge to dress it up and make it palatable.